Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Ripster Daily Trade Recaps and Teaching. Today is February 8th. So guys, another solid day, another day of earning plays that provided us some solid huge winners, some big winners right at open in the first half an hour, and market chop. So we're going to discuss all that. First of all, some introduction. These are my trade recaps and teachings. We discuss the trades I take, or the trades I guide or share with my community, or any trades that are being done on our community trading floor, or any trades that I am sharing on Twitter. We just try to recap our winners and losers, where we made money, where we lost money. And we always follow a repeatable setup. We always follow a fixed trading system, my trading system that I use, that thousands of traders across the world use to be consistent. That is the system we use for every trade, and we have fixed setups, fixed 10 or 15 setups that we repeat every day. So that's what we do. So we are going to recap that. That being said, every day me and my team, we are up few hours early before the market open. We go through all the news sources that we subscribe for our community, and we go through pre-market movers 1, pre-market movers 2, pre-market movers 3, and then we make a game plan and a news playlist that I try to share with my community 15 to 20 minutes before market open. This was today's list: Coin, Google, ARM, Disney, PayPal, Baba. I try to star something which I think has really potential to move. And then we also have day 2 and day 3 setups, which I have clear rules about day 2 and day 3, and those are repeatable setups as well. Then we also create levels for the day, levels for today. Every day we create the pivots levels. The levels mean that if the stock moves over those levels, upside or downside, they will move. Great example of these levels today for SPY and QQQ. We will discuss that, how SPY was pinned in those levels. We will also discuss, for example, Apple was short under the pivot level. So I create these levels, I share with my community. These are market plays. These are the plays which move with the market. If market is choppy, these plays will be choppy. These plays do not usually have news. These are market dependent plays. So these are all market dependent plays. So always remember that. And all right, that being said, the introduction, how we work in the room. I'm going to start with the recap. All my guidance is mostly on voice. I'm on voice first 2 hours of every day trading, and sharing what I see, what is moving, what is strong, what is long, what is short, and what trades I'm taking, and what potential trade you can take. I share that on voice, and all my guidance I try to put it in my dedicated feed in my community. So anyways, that being said, let's start with our first play of the day. Alright guys, the first play of the day was our huge winner on ARM. Those who watched my yesterday's video, I talked about how ARM yesterday, how we did it in the after hours in the community. Anyways, what was the plan on ARM? What were my levels? Let's go and look back at my levels. My levels were 92, 94 was the support pivots, and then there was a resistance pivot at 150, and of course 100 psych breakout. I told everyone 100 psych breakout or pullback long, good idea. No go if it is under the support pivot. And guess what happened? Right at the open, I saw the strength. It pulled back to the clouds like clockwork, pulled back to the clouds, held the clouds, and started to push. And right that time I knew we are going to push over the breakout, and I told my community, get a starter long. Of course, if it works, you add into your position. I also talked about what strikes you can take. You can take 105 strikes, and that's how we were long. There are a few reasons to long. Pivot break, pre-market highs that I gave, 100 psychological break. First target was 109, 105 and 109. Those were first targets. Anyways, you can see my timestamp guidance here. ARM long starter, watch pullback. ARM long working. I told everybody ARM hold a bit, might push more. First target was 105. 105 calls already went from $3 to $6. Pretty fast move in first 5 minutes on those ARM calls. as it moves forward, you start to lock your profit. If you have 1,000 shares, you sell 300, hold the rest. If you have 10 contracts, you sell 3 to 4 contracts, you hold the rest, right? So that's how you play, that's how you try to play. And then continuous guidance on ARM, because we are at all-time high at this time. Our targets are based upon whole numbers, Fibonacci extensions and all that, and always a big move in the first half an hour. So the first then I mentioned the target of pre-market highs, 109s. We started to move to 109. 105 calls went from $7 already, and then we started. We of course locked. First half an hour is very fast. So we have to be quick. We have to lock our profits, roll, and then ARM continued to push. It was at 109 in just first 15 minutes. And at that time, your calls are already profitable. If you are having shares, you keep selling a little bit. You take your profits. But even if you have shares, then you can buy the calls with a profit. When I say roll, you can buy 110s, 115s. You buy some lottos, and then it was all about giving my targets. I gave my next target 110, 112, 105 calls were even more higher at that time. And the next target was 115. At that time, it was all about, it was moving parabolic. There was also a gamma squeeze in there, because there were the few strikes that were going in money. Market makers had sold a lot of calls, and they had to hedge their calls by going long with the investors, and that's how you get this big gamma squeeze. IRM ended up hitting 126, and if you look at the 105 options, they ended up from $3 all the way to $30, right? There was 1,000% move on those lotto options on ARM earning play. And finally, when time was get out, when ARM is breaking this 512 cloud, that's when you get out. And your size is according to the stock. Your size is not according to what you think is good. Look at the ARM. It moved 32. The range was $32, right? It was a 500%. It's normal ATR. It barely moves $7 a day, and today it moved $33. Volume. Look at the volume. The volume was 1500%, guys. This is crazy, and it's not done yet. Any pullbacks, ARM, they will give us more opportunities, unless of course the whole semi sector just dies down. But great trade, guys. Great trade, and we should not miss these opportunities. ARM was on the top on my watch list. ARM was the top on my news playlist before Disney. So it's all about executing yourself. Not waiting for somebody. But I'm proud of my guidance. I'm proud that we were able to nail it. Our community really did good today. Repeatable setup, defined risk reward. Really proud of this big win on ARM. As long as you understand your repeatable setups, you are fine. You can nail it. You see it's bullish. So many reasons. It's holding the Ripster cloud trends. It's holding the downside pivots. It's breaking over the upside pivots. Just like I discussed, if the pre-market levels are so clean, it gives you high conviction long, guys. High conviction long, right? So beautiful trade, beautiful chart, ARM. Let's go to the next one. Sorry guys, got a little south side track there. You might have heard a pause there. Anyway, so I was talking about Disney. The plan on Disney was simple. This morning, the plan on Disney was the support pivot was 104.80, resistance pivot was 108, bullish to neutral, to long on a pullback, no long under 104.80. 108 is a breakout, room to 110. So you can clearly see the plan. And what did we do? As soon as the market opens, I watch it, I see the first push, I say starter long. I see a pullback, and I said dip ads are okay. That's what I say, right? Because I have a defined risk here as well. You can see I have a price alert here. So that would have been my first risk. Ideally, if I see it going under, then it's not going to be high probable long, because of course it can come back, bounce here, it can come back, bounce here. But if it bounces from right here, that's when I can have a better probability of having a bigger move. So other issue was there, a lot of shorts were thinking it's too high, shorting Disney. That's not how it works. Anyways, we added the dips. My target was 110. That's the target I gave everybody, and we met that target. And then I told everybody to hold, as long as log one, log most, leave 1/3, leave 1/4, roll into 110 lotos. And what you do is you hold as long as the trend holds, and that's what happened. It kept pushing, and then it hit 112.17. At that point, I saw 115 lotos. At that point, there was no use of adding more lotos, because Disney is a bigger float, and it was coming to the midday, and I was expecting a little slowdown, and that's what happened. It breaks 512 and pulls back. So anyways, guys, Disney was a great trade today, just similar to ARM. We don't have such a, these earnings are so good. Their earnings are so many opportunities in earnings. And I do, put all the research in my community as well about all these earnings. I put a detailed research, PayPal, Disney, ARM, detailed analysis, why the stock is doing what it's doing. We always study the fundamentals. We do not get biased crazy with the fundamentals, but we always study them. So anyways, talking about the Disney calls this morning, even for the small accounts, they went from 60 cents to $3, almost there. That was 500% gain there on Disney call. All right, guys, let's move to the next one. All right, let's look at coin, guys. So coin was mostly on voice. Coin was on our watch list today. Why? Bitcoin was strong. I gave the pivot 127 and 130. So pivot was 124. When coin broke out of that pivot, and that's when I was like, this is your long. This is breaking out of all the pivots. It's breaking out of 130 pivots. It's breaking out of daily. It hasn't really broken out of daily 50 EMA, but coin was along. There was a voice guidance on the coin on over pivot, because you could see first it breaks out of 127 pivot right here, then it breaks out of 130 pivot, and that's it. You see the volume, you see the pivot strength, you trade long. And my target I gave everybody was 130 to 40 area. It actually even went more than that target. It was a nice trade today, still strong. On watch tomorrow as well if it gets over 50 EMA. I wanted to swing it, but due to the earnings I've been a little cautious, but a lot of strength on it. Definitely will be keeping eyes on this one. Let's look at PayPal, guys. So if you guys remember, what did Snap do with us yesterday, right? I held Snap starter yesterday for that eventual bullish move. I didn't do the same mistake today. I had a starter for a very tiny bit, and as soon as it rejected, I was bearish biased. I was like, it's a short. So for example, I was on a B minus, just like Snap yesterday, and I told everybody it's just like Snap. If it doesn't break the pivots to the upside, there's no long there. Same thing as Snap, no buyers. I called the starter and will short, and I shorted and said no long, no need to touch long, only short, and it faded. Since I said that, it faded from almost $58 all the way under $56, and that was my covers, and finally closed the short on the smalls. So I got decent amount of almost $2 per share short on this stock. And you learn every day. You know what PayPal Snap did? I held Snap for so long before trying to short it. Not today. Today was a PayPal was a short winner. Defined system, such a clean system. 3450 reject, no need to long, just fade. Beautiful. All right guys, let's look at BABA. So looking at BABA, it was a short. What was the plan on BABA? The plan on BABA was simple. Bearish to neutral will follow the pivots under 7160. It can fade, and that's what happened. I was not focused on BABA in the morning. I was focused on other plays. But if you did focus on BABA under 7160, first faded to 7050, again bouncing. The resistance again is the same level as earlier. Look at this level is resistance, right? This is the level we were talking about. This level was what we were talking about, and it rejected. Still bearish, trying to go over 512, but still bearish. Support and resistance is always first, guys. The clouds are later. First comes support and resistance. So rejected, support becomes resistance. The pivot connects both as support and resistance. The same pivot rejected. All day fade on BABA, all day short, and a lot of people were asking me about that, and I did mention that BABA is short. He was asking, should I hold the puts? I said BABA is still heavy, still short, and look at it, beautiful fade. All right, let's look at DT. So DT, what was the plan on DT? Let's go back on the plan. The plan on DT was simple. 50 is a support, resistance is 54.50. Earnings and revenue were good. Analysts estimates. I told everybody over 54.50 is a B minus bounce. 56.50 psych is also a bounce. So when I saw it moving over the clouds over this pivot, that's when I said it's a long, good long. It was a little choppy up and down, but it held the 512 trend. You can draw a trend line if you want to, and you see that it moved. Even if you added 55, this and use your stops at 54, you got 57 by end of the day. You got $2 per share on that move. So it was a decent play. Couldn't get over 34.50, but that's fine. 34.50 is always our first target. We'll watch it for day 2 over 57. All right, let's talk about PLTR. So those who have been watching my videos, and those who've been seeing what I'm saying on Twitter, you remember that I clearly told that PLTR is a swing now. After the big move, the target was 25. So that was my target on PLTR was 25, and it was also a which day? It was a day 3 setup. Day 1, day 2, day 3. Big push at open. That's fine, but where was the support? Right here, this area. It held the support, reclaimed the support, and look at the 1 hour. 1 hour trend never gave up, and it's our 25 swing target. Tomorrow 25 breaks, it can push more, but if 25 rejects, look to take profits on the swing. Very good idea, very proud of this. You can look at my daily lab chart that I have been sharing with you. Even if we go to weekly, you can look at this PLTR. What a beautiful move, guys. Post earning breakout, these are the kind of swings I teach in my webinars. Love it. All right guys, let's talk about WYNN. So WYNN Resorts, what was the plan on WYNN Resorts? The plan on WYNN Resorts, it was WYNN has a profits beats on Vegas, Macau strength. Support pivot was 102.20, so resistance was 1/4, bullish to neutral, gap fill under the pivots, bullish over 104. So let's see how did WYNN do. All right, so there you go, breaks the pivot to upside, so 104 pivot breaks, and then even it held its strength into our 10 a.m. concept, and then it was flagging. I told everybody it's flagging, and then it flag breaks. Target was 109, short of my target by 24 cents. Another win for the pre-market plan. Now let's look at another one from a pre-market plan that was a huge winner. So it depends what play you want to play. So that was ICE. So ICE was 130 and 128. 130 was the key breakout. I told that everyone, you can read it here, and you can look what it did. It broke out from the 130, and I said it's nice long. Once the 130 pivot breaks, and then it pushed, it all day trending high, all day, right? So you hold it. If you miss the hair ad, that's fine. You know, if you miss the initial ad, you go to the smaller time frame, you know, or a smaller time frame, look where the candle is holding, no problem. If 10 minutes is not giving you something, you just see, look at the level, and you look at the certain level. As long as your 512 clouds are holding, you take a position and you trade that. And look at it, it went to 136 from 130 breakout. Another good idea. All right guys, let's look at Hershey chocolates. It's all about the pivots, guys. It's all about which side the pivot is breaking out. What you see in a lot of these recaps, once a pivot is broken on an earning day, the stock continues to move on that side. Very rarely we see it reject. It will fail the pivots a lot of times. But when it breaks out, it holds the pivot and continues to push. And you always have a starter position when these pivots are breaking. All right, Hershey Company earning beat, revenue fell short. The resistance pivots were 192, 194, 187.50. There was no volume in pre-market. Bearish buys under the clouds. You know, I had initial bearish buys. There should be a reason why initial buys was bearish. You know, because we were under the clouds. We were trading right here. But what do you do when it breaks over the clouds? What do you do when it breaks over the resistance pivots? 192 cleared. 194 cleared. Yesterday high cleared. 200 psych cleared. That's it. You know, I even talked about it 10 a.m. You know, anybody who traded this one, you know, it went to 209, guys. Even after my 10-209 talking, it went to 209. So many opportunities, just so many opportunities, you know, just crazy. Let's look at Google quickly, guys. Google was a loss today, but that is fine. Google is a market play. I was playing the Google for this gap fill, right? And you know, it gapped up a little, so spoiled the setup. So I was along a little bit. It tried to push, then it pulled back, and you know, I didn't like the action. I cut it. Then it moved again. Then I added some shares again. Then it was again weak. Then I cut it again. Just took a loss and moved on. You know, nothing crazy, just small loss. But the point is, we have a setup, but it's a market play. It moves with the market. So you have to realize this will move what market does. And I will discuss the SPY and QQQ later, that why SPY was trading $1 range all day. QQQ was choppy. We were going nowhere. So when we are going nowhere, these plays are not going to move. These plays are not going to pay you anything. They're going to stay in the range. Market dependent plays. All right, so I'm going to discuss few plays from our pivot levels. Let's quickly look at AVGO. We go to our news sheet. The AVGO pivots was 121, 1267, 1272. Why AVGO? Because AVGO was on a semiconductor list. I share my semiconductor list every day. So you know, when ARM is strong, other semiconductors are strong. You know, AVGO can push too. So look at AVGO. And when I'm on voice, I continuously tell what is strong, what is weak, right? If AVGO was strong, I was mentioning AVGO went from 1265s to 1295s, and those lotos options also went crazy there for sure. So beautiful move there on AVG. I'm going to quickly talk about Apple. Apple was heavy all day. I said there is no long. I was on the voice talking about Apple. Why? Why was Apple heavy? Why we decided that Apple is not a long, but it's a short, or it's bearish today? Because of our system. Our system told us support 188.60, support 189. What did Apple do? Breaks 189, breaks 188.60, breaks yesterday's lows right here, 188.60. So fade and to 187.35. So that was the short, guys. That's how you trade the pivots. Short under the clouds is bearish. That's what system tells you. Look at this rejection at 34.50. Clockwork. Gonna look quickly at SMCI. So what was up with SMCI? So SMCI was you know, it was basically we had this 684 and 697 resistance pivots. People love to trade it, you know, and it broke out of the pivot. Then it was flagging here, holding the clouds, broke out of this pivot, and all day push. And people were asking me for SMCI targets, and I gave them some targets that we're gonna push to 715. You know, that was about it. Nothing crazy on SMCI. Just to show you that when something starts to move over the pivots, it gets the big push. All right, guys, let's see what market did today. So market, guys, basically we are choppy, right? We were choppy. We were just in such a tight range all day. You know, SPY barely, you see this level from yesterday, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All day, every time it goes, sell. Every time it goes, sell. This tells you that market is systematic. There are market makers, there's algos, there's institutions. These things are not random. So this should tell you, because we were trading just barely $1 range all day. QQQ was strong, yeah, because of semiconductors and other names, but we were just barely moving in that one straight line. You know, cloud stocks were strong today. Not cloud, crypto stocks were strong. Cathy was strong. Semiconductors were strong. Those were the ones which were bullish, but none of the big sevens were doing much, right? You can see that. So that's why there was no trades in SPY, SPX, QQQ. Tried a few trades, got chopped out. You know, you lose money and you just don't touch it again. There was nothing really happening in the marketplace today. Only plays were the news plays, which we nailed and made solid wins there. So always understand what market is doing, guys. So that was for today. Let's see a plan for tomorrow. All right, guys, plan for tomorrow on SPY. You know, again, the plan is same. Do they push us to 500? What happens at 500? So that's basically the plan, guys. You will clearly see they have been, you know, they have just literally pinned us here. So do we go through 500? If we go through 500, there's going to be huge breakout. And the breakout, how you going to know the breakout is if we go through 500, push to like 501 or something and pull back and hold it. And if you see push and reject, there can always be a failed breakout as well. So plan is simple. Ideally, we want a 500 push to 500, break this 498.50, push to 500. We want SPX 5000 breakout will come first. That will push us to SPY 500, and that's when we want to long. That's when we want to long the Googles, the Apples, the marketplace, right? That's when you want to be the long. And how can that happen? We do not really want yields to go. We want US dollar to drop a little. We want VIX to drop under 1270. Even though today VIX was dropping, but market makers has us pinned. So let's see. So that is the plan. That's what I would like to see. And if we break under this area, today's low, then we will fade. You know, because the reason being, SPY clouds are really coming closer, and if it ends up breaking those clouds, we can get a pullback, right? So you know, so just keep your eyes open for that. And then we have our day 2 on ARM, Disney, PayPal, Baba. So we'll use them as our day 2 plays. You know, Uber was a day 2 fade today, by the way, and PLTR was a day 2 push as well. So so that is the plan, guys. Let's see what tomorrow brings. Trade safe, trade with repeatable setups, trade with a repeatable system. Do not trade random, do not do gut feeling trades. I hope this video helped you to learn a lot of day trades, and I plan to bring more of swing videos and investing videos in future. For now, that is it, guys. See you later. Take care. Bye-bye. You want to trade with me, come join my community. Come for guidance, ideas, education. Do not come for alerts. Thank you. Bye-bye. Later.